You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Football Show Extra right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McBride, delighted to be your host as always. Joined as always by Shankers. Shankers, how are we doing?
Hi, I'm good, Scott. How are you?
I'm all good. We are going to be joined by Wilson later on. Rory's studying for his trip to Ibrox tomorrow night for Sports Sound, but we'll be joined by Wilson later on in the show. We're going to do a bit of coverage tonight on the West of Scotland Football League, all 5 divisions we're going to take a look at. Then we're going to take a look at the European results at the Scottish clubs. We'll preview the Premier Sports Cup. We'll talk to Wilson a bit about the Ayrshire Amateurs, and then we will close the show. We'll start off with the West of Scotland Football League. Shankers, another exciting couple of match days so far.
Aye, definitely. A few surprises. A few teams dropping points that maybe you wouldn't expect. Plenty of goals as always for this stage of the season. So it's been an exciting start so far.
Definitely. We'll just run through the results quickly on the 4 leagues on Saturday. Bees 4, Hurlford 0, Blantyre 0, Rob Roy 1, Bonnet 0, Auchinleck 2, Clydebank 4, Largs 1, Cumbernauld and Darvel was obviously postponed, Cumnock 0, Irvine Meadow 2, Glenafton 0, Benburb 3, Kilburnley 1, Troon 2, Rossvale 1, Pollock 6, Rutherglen Glencairn 4, and Kilwinning 4. Saturday, Shankers obviously using a good result away to Bonnet and 2-0. How did you feel Talbot played? Was happy just to pick up the 3 points?
I've said, and I said before last week about previous teams as well. It's at this stage of the season with so many fixtures, 10 fixtures in 5 weeks. I think people will be happy with points in the board rather than good performances. I mean, if you get both the same, well, that's great. But I think a lot of people would rather not play so good and pick up the win than have a good performance, but maybe draw the game or so on. We've I mean, Bonnet had a great chance at 1-0. Our keeper Andrew Leishman has made a wonderful save at 1-0 to keep us in the lead, and then we go and get the second, and that almost kind of puts the game to bed. So it was a good win, but as I said, performance could have been better as well.
Yeah, definitely. He's went top of the league as well. Kilwinning 4, Rutherglen 4. That was an interesting result. Obviously, Kilwinning were up 4-1 away from home. Rutherglen come back into the game 4-4. It was a bit of a surprising result, wasn't it? We thought, obviously, when it went 4-1, it was like Kilwinning will hold on and get a big 3 points and join you at the top of the league. But Rutherglen did, all credit them, they fought back and got the result.
They did, and fair play to them. I mean, I'm not saying you could chuck it at 4-1 done, but it's so easy to almost accept it and just kind of see out the game because you're getting beat, but just get through the game. And for Kilwinning to lose that, they'll be really disappointed. I mean, 4-1 up and to lose 3 goals and go away with a point. I mean, they'll be gutted about that, but last night they bounced back with a 4-1 win at Beath, which we'll come on to. So I think that the only bonus is they never lost the game, but for the position that they were in, they'll feel that should have took 3 points. So they'll be disappointed with that.
Yeah, definitely. Teams like Beath as well. Beath are a big result beating Hurlford 4-0. I watched Hurlford the Wednesday before. I didn't think they'd a 4-0 defeat in them, but it was their first defeat of the season. But all credit to Beath, that was a great result beating Hurlford 4-0.
It is, as we say, there's not really any easy fixtures in this division. And Beath Hurlford of the past will have been a close game, maybe a goal either way. So for Beath to beat them as convincing as that, it is surprising. 4-0 at home is a good result for Beath, but Hurlford will be disappointed to lose as heavily as that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We've got also big results. Clydebank, we'll touch about Clydebank later on in the show. Clydebank and Pollock, though, 2 impressive performances. Ben Bob going to Glenafton and winning 3-0. That was a result that caught me for a surprise. I know Glenafton's start's been a bit up, but it's been a poor start to the season for the Glens. But Ben Bob going there and winning 3-0 is a big result.
It is. Some people say it was surprising, but when you look at Ben Bob's form, recently they've picked up a lot of points at this stage of the season. So maybe 3-0 is comfortable. It's a surprise, but when down there and winning the game, it probably isn't as much as a surprise as what people would think. But I just don't think people would thought it was going to be as comfortable a win for Ben Bob as that, because Newcombe, that's a tricky place to go at any time this season and try and get 3 points. Never mind three goals and a clean sheet.
Yeah, obviously as well, Troon picked up a win away to Kilburney. It's a big result for Troon. Obviously, it's been up and down as well. They've had chances to win games and just they've struggled. I think they've won one before that, but that was another big result. Obviously, go to Kilburney, who have they started well, but it's never an easy place to go. But true, that's a big result for Troon.
It is, and when teams on the picking up points and maybe losing a couple in a row, it is important to teams run about your area of the table who are maybe not doing as well either. It's important that they pick up points against them, and Kilburney is definitely not an easy place to go, and trying to go down there and get a result is massive for them, and that'll give them a boost, and they'll maybe push on now and start picking up points on the bounce again. And Kilburney's in a sticky situation. They've not picked up a point so far, I'm led to believe. I think might be wrong.
Seven defeats for 7. Aye.
When we played them, they played some nice football. They've got some really good players. I'm surprised that they haven't picked up any points this season, but it's just one of the things. We'll see when you're turning up and you maybe do lose 2 or 3 in a row. I'm not saying it's easy to get into that slump, but it's hard to get out of it when you're losing games. Just things only going your way. See that wee bit of luck. It just doesn't go your way. They need break to the ball, things like that. They just don't go your way. And fingers crossed, Kilburney start picking up points, because they're a team that's been in the top leagues for years. But unfortunately, it's not looking good for them at the minute. But hopefully they can turn things around.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move into last night's results. Auchinleck 2, Glenafton 0, Ben Bob 0, Rutherglen 2. Davon Cumberland was obviously postponed. Hurlford get back to win away as a 3-0 win over Rossvale. Arvin Meadow, I was at the game, 2-1 win over Largs Thistle. We'll talk about that in a second. Kilburney 1, Clydebank 5, Kilwinning 4, Beath 1. Rob Roy, again, we'll touch on them in a minute, but a terrific run of form for them, 4-2 win over Bonneton. Pollock 5, Cumbernauld 1, and Troon 1, Blantyre, Victoria 3. 2 teams I want to touch on. Obviously, they're getting near the top of the table. Clydebank as well. They've went on a terrific run of form since I think they're the exact same as Auchinleck. They've won the last 6 or 7.
They drew their first 2 games and then they won the rest.
They've been in a cracking run of form. What about Clydebank? Do we think they're obviously 4-1 win over Largs and Saturday, then 5-1 last night at Kilburney? They're scoring goals for fun.
They are so, and they're a team that should be up at the top end of the table, and I think they will be come the end of the season. I mean, we played them first game of the season, drew 2 each. I don't think we could have argued if Clydebank had won that game, and I don't think they could have argued if we won the game. It could have went either way. A draw was probably a fair result. The second game of the season, they fought back late on to get a point at Cumbernauld. So it just shows they never give up. And then after that, that's maybe given them a wee lift, and they've went 6 wins in the bounce. So I'm not surprised that they've won 6 out of 6, because they've got top players in their team, and they're a top team and they're capable of doing that. So I'm not surprised by their run of form now, and they'll be a tough opponent for anybody that's coming up against them in this form. Yeah,
I'll agree with that totally. Pollock as well, 6-1 win over Rossvale on Saturday, then they follow that up with a 5-1 impressive win against Cumbernauld last night. They are scoring goals as well. It's just they always will as well. They've got players there that are always just going to kind of create chances as well. Their only blip was the defeat to Bonneton, and then there was goalless against Hurlford. But apart from that, they've been pretty much perfect.
Yep, unbeaten in the last 6 games. So it's form that's going to take them up to the top end of the league. They've got quality all all over the pitch, as you said. That they've got players that can hurt teams at any minute of the game. We played them in pre-season. I think it was their first pre-season game, and the score probably wasn't a true reflection on a Pollock Auchinleck game. They're always usually tight games. So I think they'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season as well, and their form at the minute is looking really good. I think that's quite a good thing. When you're looking at the table, you can see teams' current form and stuff like that. So I think that's quite good. And seeing all the teams up the top end of the table with wins and with like 5 wins, 1 draw, 6 wins, 6 stuff like that. So it shows the form that the teams are in at the moment, and it's going to be hard for the teams who are looking for points coming up against these teams, because I know what it's like. If you're on a run of 4 or 5, 6 wins in a row, things do fall your way. You get break to the ball. You get that wee break, that wee bit of luck that you need. And for these teams at the moment, everything's gone their way. So who knows? Who knows when the runs will come to an end?
Yeah. Avon Meadow as well, a 2-1 win over Lags, and they beat Cumnock on Saturday 2-0. It was a really impressive performance last night. They played well first half. I was at the game covering it for the channel. Played well first half. Lags took a surprise lead. It was against the run of play. It was a terrific header for Sewell from close range. Jamie Martin and get them back level. It was a really good goal as well. It was a good pass. It deflected towards Martin and finished it lovely. And then there was a penalty, maybe 10 minutes to go, and Mark McLennan finished it. Avon Meadow, they're always thereabouts, but they are responding well. Obviously, I think they've only 1 defeat so far, but they've been pretty much as well, just consistent, steady. Are they going to be kind of close to the top this season, Jank?
I think I said at the start, I think teams like Pollock, Clydebank, Avon Meadows, they have to, for the clubs the size at this level and players that they've got, they have to be, for them to be even a successful season, they have to be challenging at the top end. And maybe after a kind of slower start than Meda would have wanted, their form recently, they've won 5 out of the last 6 games. So their form recently is one that teams really want to go down to Meda Park for a game when they're in that form. And we had a tough game against Lags last week. They're a stuffy side. Ours was 2-1 as well. Their second goal's a wee bit fortunate. So for Avon Meadow to come back for 1-0 down and show the courage and the spirit to get it back and turn it around to win 2-1 shows what they're all about, and they'll be up there challenging coming in the season as well, with a match. Yeah,
definitely. You beat Glenafton 2-0, Mason and Samson with the goals. What was the performance like? Was that good? Was that a great performance for Auchinleck and Glenafton just kind of flat? What was your thoughts on the game?
I think I spoke to you in Wilsonella last night, and I said it's probably one of our better performances of the season. I had said about how we've not been beat yet, but we've not played to our full potential. I don't think we played to our full potential last night, but the performance has been better than what it has in previous games. I think Aaron scored. I'm not actually sure when in the game, but we had plenty of chances in the first half. Keeper had 2 good saves for myself. There's been other chances in the game. I can't really remember our keeper being tested an awful lot. So probably I actually won't be able to. I actually won't. Sorry, I'm getting stuck here. I actually can't really remember a time where our goalie was challenged, and I don't think Glenafton would have complained if he actually won by another goal or 2. I think it was one of the games it's probably the most comfortable we've felt in that kind of tie. It's a kind of got a derby feel to it, stuff like that. And every time we play Glenafton, it's normally a tight, close game, and they're normally stuffy, but it's probably one of the most kind of comfortable we've felt against them. And to beat them 2-0 and say you probably should have had another goal or 2 says how good our performance was. So it's another win, and it kind of keeps the win and run going so far.
Yeah, definitely. The Buffs are up there close as well. A 4-1 win over Bede, recovering for the 4-all draw at Rutherglen. They're always going to be there or thereabouts. We get some terrific players. Obviously, Thomas Collins as well. Ali McCollum's been scoring goals. What is that about the Kilwinning that they're always kind of getting there as well? I think they're unbeaten. They're unbeaten as well, aren't they?
I think they've drew 2 and won 6.
Yeah.
If I'm right in saying, we were saying about Bees beating Hurlford 4-0 and how the games are normally close, and then Kilwinning going turn over Bees 4-1 and give them a kind of good comfortable one under their belt as well. Kilwinning, I don't think, I spoke to somebody last week who is involved with a team at committee level, and they say Kilwinning's the best team that they've faced so far this season. So I think that says a lot for them. They've got a good young squad. In the previous show, I had mentioned Thomas Collins. That I think he could be one of the signings of the season for Kilwinning. He's proven me right so far with his goals and performances. He used to play with Bees as well, so he scored against an old club last night. But 4-1 is a convincing win for winning. And I think one thing I will say is that we've got goals coming from all over the pitch. There's no likes of Thomas that's scoring 2-3 goals a game and he's running away with it. Every time you see there's 3 different scorers, 2 different scorers, 4 different scorers, and they're scoring heavily. They're not beating teams 1-0, 2-1. They're beating them 4-1, 6-0, things like that. So they're going to be a team that they're going to put it this way. I think if you finish above Kilwinning, you'll not be far away from winning the league.
Aye, definitely, I'd agree with that. Rob Roy as well was a tough start to the season, but they bounced back terrifically. 4 wins in a row. We are going to be at Glenafton versus Rob Roy on Saturday, covering the game, so we'll stay tuned for that. Rob Roy, though, you've got to get handed to Stuart Maxwell for getting Rob Roy back in the hunt for out of the relegation places after a really, really poor start, but they bounced back really well.
Yeah, so 4 defeats in a row and then 4 wins in a row. It's a good turnaround. It's a tough place to go, Kirkentulloch. Rob Roy up at Cumbernauld, where they play. It's a tough place to go at any time of the season. We went up there, I think it was the second game of the season, and we got a tough game. They've got a lot of, I think there's been a big turnaround in players up there throughout the year. I don't know whether they lost players during the pandemic or whatever, but there was faces there that I hadn't really seen before. A lot of young boys, but for them to go 4 wins in a row at this level against the teams in the league, how competitive it is, to go 4 games in a row winning is a good feat. So never mind going four defeats in a row and then 4 wins, but nobody will want to go and play Kirkentulloch in this run of form with 4 wins, momentum. They'll have momentum going into every game and they'll believe they can beat anybody. So Kirkentulloch will be a team to watch over the next few weeks and see if they can keep their run going.
Yeah, definitely. Hurlford, Rutherglen and Blantyre all get big wins as well. We'll move into the fixtures coming up this Saturday. We have Bonnyton play Troon, Blantyre versus Kilbirnie, Rutherglen play Shankers team Auchinleck, Glenafton Rob Roy, which will be out for the channel, Lags versus Darvel, who are coming back after obviously their 2 games off with COVID, Rossvale versus Kilwinning, Cumnock versus Pollock, Beath versus Benburb, Clydebank versus Irvine Meadow, and Cumbernauld versus Hurlford. Shankers, what fixture out of that sticks out to you?
Just off the top of my head, I actually can't. You said them all that quick that I can't remember a fixture. But I think it'll be interesting to see how Darvel come back after 2 games no playing. I know what it's like. I don't know whether players who were negative or whatever were still able to train. So I don't know the situation. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back after 2 games of no playing, because I know say no playing for a week through injury or 2 weeks, it's no longer catching up. You feel it in the next game you play. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure the players who were available will have been keeping themselves ticking over, whether it's going to run or whether they were still able to train in a small group or whatever. So I think that'll be one to watch and be interesting to see how they bounce back for them, especially after the last game they had a defeat against Kilwinning. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. We'll touch on the three conference leagues quickly. Arthurlie are still top of the league, 7 wins out of 7. Shotts are sitting on 18 points with 6 wins and 2 draws, with Bellshill, Craigmark, Whitlets and Muirkirk as well, also kind of close by. Shankers, we'll just run through the results quickly for Wednesday for the conference A. Bellshill 7, Craigmark 3, 10-goal thriller with Irvin Vicks and Girvan that finished 5 each. Johnson 1, Whitlets 2, Lesmahago 1, Glasgow Uni 1, Luger 3, Maple 5, Maryhill 1, Shotts 4, Muirkirk 0, Forth 0, and Saltcoats Vicks 0, Arthurlie 4. Any results stick out to you in that?
There's a few 7-3s, 5 each, 5-3, plenty of goals in A leagues. People where I get their money's worth. I think Maple Lugers a good one, a tight game. They are 5-3, two teams that are familiar with each other going at it. So Maple scraping through that. Bellshill, I think, to score 7 goals. And I think if somebody says to Craigmark, right, you're going to go to Bellshill and you're going to score 3 goals, I think they would have thought they would be at least walking away with a point. So to score 3 goals and it still is a tough one to take. Irvin and Irvin Vicks 5 each. I don't know whether they didn't have any defenders on or whatever in that game, but the manager won't probably be happy with each other's defence in that one. And Shotts 4, Maryhill 1. So plenty of goals in that league. That'll be one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely. It's a league that's sticking out as well. Arthurlie look as if they're going to be really, really hard to beat. Shotts are there about as well. There's a lot of good teams in that league. We'll move into Conference B. Ardea picked up their first defeat. They lost to Cambuslang. They lost 4-1 to Cambuslang. We'll just run through the results. Ardea 1, Cambuslang 4. Killuke 1, St Cadoc's 4. Dalry 0, Greenock 5. Gartcairn 4, Port Glasgow 4. Newmains 1, Glasgow United 7. Renfrew 4, Ashfield 1. Royal Albert 1, Kello 4. We'll just look at the table as well. Cambuslang are sitting top of the league now. They're a point clear of Gartcairn, St Cadoc's and Ardea. They're all on 17 points. You get likes of Greenock, Renfrew, Port Glasgow sitting in 14 and 13. What do you think of the top of the league? Obviously, Cambuslang are sitting top, but it's Gartcairn, St Cadoc's, Ardea. It could be a very, very open league as well. That's the Conference B.
It does look tight at the top when I'm looking at it now. Obviously, Cambushlang's the team in form. They lost their first game and then they've won their next 6. So as I keep going back to when they've got momentum like that, winning 6 in a row, it's the next games can't come quick enough. Ardea, I noticed they picked up their first defeat of the season, but I think, as their manager said, I listened to his interview after the game, their manager says stage they're at now, they're plunging above their weight anyway. So I think going up against teams like Cambuslang, who are so familiar with football at this level, compared to some of the players who are years ago who maybe stepped it up a wee bit, you're always going to pick up the defeats. Nothing's going to be perfect, especially when we're playing Saturday, Wednesday. But Ardea will just be looking forward to Saturday now and try to put things right. But top of that league, the top 3 teams that are there, I think they'll be fighting up the top there or thereabouts. Cambuslang, Gartcairn and St Cadoc's. Unfortunately, I just think they'll have a wee bit more experience than Ardea when it comes to the crunch. Hopefully I'm wrong, because Ardea's the worst team and I would like them to go up there. I just think the other teams have got a wee bit more experience in their sides to keep them up that end of the table when it comes to picking up trophies.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move into Conference C. Drumchapel have started brilliantly, 6 wins out of 6 to be top of the league in 18 points. St Roch's, they've also had a terrific start to the season. They're a point behind in 17. Wishaw and Neilston are both in 16 points, with Glasgow Perthshire in 15. Petershill 14, Ardrossan 13. Very open league as well. There's a lot of teams making really impressive starts. Drumchapel and Neilston are unbeaten, but we've got to mention Drumchapel as well. 6 wins out of 6. You can't start a season any better.
I know. I'm looking at 6 out of 6. Top of the league by a point and 2 games in hand in second. But they put themselves in a right good position. Obviously, Wishaw are only 2 points behind and they've only got 1 game in hand. So it is tight, but 6 out of 6, you can't ask for a better start than that. And Drumchapel will be looking to stay there for the duration of the season.
Yeah, definitely as well. We'll just run through the results that took place on Wednesday. Drumchapel 4, Wishaw 0, East Kilbride Thistle 0, Neilston 3, Lanark 1, Vale of Clyde 1, Kilsyth Rangers 2, Glasgow Perthshire 3, Petershill 4, Valor-Leven 0, St Anthony's 2, Ardrossan 3, and Yoker 1, St Roch's 1. We'll move into Division 4. That's obviously the new league this season as well. A lot of new teams in it. Finnart are top of the league with 18 points, then Kilsyth Athletic are in 15, Harthill Royal 10, St Peter's 9, Glenvale also in 9, Hammer and Rose 7, Campbellton 4, and BSC Glasgow 4. Shankers, obviously this is a new league as well. We'll just run through the results that took place on Wednesday. Finnart beat Kilsyth Athletic 4-0. They moved top of the table. Glenvale 1, Hammer and Rose 1, and Harthill Royal 3.
Glenvale won 4-0. 4-1.
4-1. What did I say?
1-1.
1-1. Glenvale, it's my mistake. Glenvale 4, Hammer and Rose 1, Harthill Royal 3, St Peter's 2. Finnart, obviously a good start to the season. Is there any kind of teams in that league that you feel are going to be potentially up at the top at the end of the season? Is there any teams caught your eye?
See, to be honest, I don't really know an awful lot about these teams. There seem to be, whether it's amateur teams coming up or whether it's boys clubs getting to a high level, like their maximum age and they're stepping up. I just want to keep an eye on, because these teams have been no force, but these teams have had no option but to come in at this level. So I think you'll maybe need to wait till next season to see who gets promoted and whatnot, and then when they're up against higher teams, you'll see where they're at. I think it's going to be a close league at the end of the season between Kilsyth and Finnart, the way the way the league started so far. So it'll be interesting, but it's not a league I know an awful lot about. I know St Peter's, what do you call his face? I forget the guy's name on Twitter. He's something to do with the assistant manager at St Peter's or something like that. I forget that guy's name. It's the guy for the PJ and Dark show. What's his name? He's involved in St Peter's somehow. So it'll be interesting to see that league. It's a wee bit of a weird one, because I don't really know too much about them. I know Harmony Row are a notorious team for having good boys club teams, so I don't know whether they've maybe put their under-19s or under-20s up there, a senior side or whatever, but it's an interesting one to keep an eye on to see how teams do. I know BSC Glasgow were a Lowland League team, and then they've changed to Broomhill, I think it is. So I don't know what the connection is with them going into this level. I'm not too sure, but it'll be an interesting one to keep an eye at the end of the season and see who comes out on top.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to be covering the West of Scotland League this Saturday as well. We'll give you reports on all the fixtures, and I'll be live at Glenafton versus Rob Roy, so we'll have match updates from then. Obviously, the full-time scores we'll put out as soon as we get them, and we'll be posting match reports at the end of the night. We'll be covering the league again next week, but that is our look at the West of Scotland leagues. And we're back in the second part of the show. We're joined by Mark Wilson, running late. Wilson, how are we?
Hey, thanks, Scott. Thanks for waiting for me. Sorry to all the WOSFL clubs who didn't get my expert analysis this week. Hopefully we'll be back next week for that.
Definitely. Let's move into the Scottish clubs in Europe. We're actually just recording this after all five clubs have played and the results are through. We'll start on Tuesday night. Rangers 1, Malmö 2. Rangers are out of the Champions League. Malmö qualified 4-2 in aggregate. Shankers, you were at the game. What went wrong?
I was saying to you, we spoke kind of briefly on it in our WhatsApp group, and I says that the game plan at 0-0 was perfect. I thought Rangers looked comfortable. I thought they looked dominant at 1-0. And as soon as the first goal goes in, something changed. I don't know what it was. I seen Michael Beale and Gerrard out of the dugout, and they were shouting. As soon as the goal went in, there was players celebrating. They're shouting to put in one of the players over, and they're shouting things and that. And it was as if they had a plan once they got 1-0. Like, this is how we're going to take the game forward. And after that, they let Malmö have the ball, and they creeps. The more they had the ball, they started getting comfortable, and the more they had the ball, they creeped into the game slowly. And at half time, Rangers came out. I've seen players, people writing about they made a sub at half time, this and that. But when you're up 1-0 against 10 men at half time, there should be no reason for a sub, because nobody knows what's going to happen in the second half. Nobody knows what team's going to come out for all. They could have come out. If they come out the second half and started like the first half, they'll be uncomfortable. But they let Malmö creep into the game, and they get punished. And the first goal was a great finish. It's a ball down the line. The strikers fire that across goal. Probably the only place he could put it. It's a great finish. The second goal is an absolute shambles defensively.
It's criminal.
We've seen the freeze freeze
frame.
The freeze frame, yeah. We've seen that. The space that he was allowed to get the ball into feet. Everything's been sucked into the corner. Into feet, first touch across, and he's played it back across the goal. The defending, the marking is absolutely shambolic for a team at that level. I coach an under 10 team, and if we the under 11 team, sorry, and if we conceded a goal like that, then I would think that is poor for that level. So for Rangers to concede that goal, and then they gave Malmö something to hold on to, and they got in their 2 banks of 4 with a striker who worked ever so hard for the team after that. And to be honest, they had a chance with a corner. Morelos is ahead at the back post, and he's straight ahead into the near hand corner, and he's missed it. And see, other than that, they never really created anything at all. Hadji's come on, he's had a shot for 30 yards. Sakalas had a shot for 30 odd yards. Other than that, I can't really remember a clear-cut opportunity for Rangers to get back into the game. And see, as soon as it went 2-1, that was a tie done, because Rangers looked ever so predictable, going side to side, getting the ball in the wings, putting aimless crosses into the box, not even picking them do it, just Barisic. And I don't even think Tavernier got a ball into the box where you're thinking somebody should be getting to the end of that. So the quality of the guys have got to be picking somebody out in the box. And as I said, once it went 2-1, I never seen any way back for Rangers, and it was another poor night for Rangers. When you think Malmö, and then Olympiacos or Ludogorets, you would, on paper, Rangers should be beating Malmö and going on and probably progressing to the group stages. So it's a good opportunity missed, and unfortunately now we could see 1 or 2 players on their way at Ibrox.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Wilson, what do we think about this Rangers blip so far? Do we think it is a blip or is a cause for concern? It's 3 defeats in a row. We've heard the saying it's just only 2 defeats away from a crisis. What do we think here? You've said before about this Rangers team, you thought, what are they like in front of crowds? Don't know if that's a kind of basic thing to say, but I don't know what your thoughts are on it. Do you think this is a cause for concern, though, the lack of form in the start of the season?
I'll obviously be concerning, but I think at Rangers and Celtic, I think you're 1 defeat away from a crisis, to be honest. And I think, results, again, I spoke about the league result, and as Shankers said, the path to the Champions League, Holy Grail as such, was relatively straightforward for me. I feel that Rangers would be better than Malmö. I believe it'd be better than Olympiacos and Ludogorets. But obviously, again, and I saw Gerrard again on the television tonight saying that they're maybe not a Champions League team, but they're definitely a Europa League last 16 team. If the vultures are now circling on some of these players, then unless they're replacing like for like as such, then I wouldn't even think they'd be a Europa League team, because I believe if you pull possibly Morales out that team, then I would be quite fearful of who's going to get, that 20 goals plus that Morales gives Rangers. And what I would say, and again, Mark and you may disagree, I actually think now, again, it's not a crisis. I don't believe for 1 minute it's a crisis. If you lose to Dunfermline on Friday night, then possibly there's a crisis. But I think that's a good game to get them back on, the straight and narrow and winning games again. But what I would say, and it was quite interesting that Mark was saying that Bale and Gerrard were out, I always think when Rangers lose, the players get it in the neck. I don't think anyone looks at, Steven Gerrard, whereas every time they win a game, Michael Beale's all of a sudden Pep Guardiola and Steven Gerrard's this and that. I think over the last few games where Rangers have lost, yes, the players are playing, etc. But I think Gerrard has made mistakes in terms of his substitutions, the way he set up his team, the accommodation of players. But I think he's escaped it well. I mean, I know he's a huge name in world football, etc. But again, it was a wee bit after the Malmö game, calling on the crowd, etc. I think Steven Gerrard maybe needs to look in the mirror at some of these results rather than trying to blame, or not necessarily blame, but look at these players and looking at Balogun's mistakes, etc. What I would also say was, and again, I only saw the highlights this afternoon, because I went to bed in the huff at 1-0 and 10 men, that. And I'm never ever, I don't think I've ever criticised them ever, but I actually felt, is it the second goal where no one's on Balogun's toes and he turns it? Do you not think Alan McGregor slowed down to that?
Yeah, but I don't think
I would never ever criticise Alan McGregor because he is one of the best goals I have ever seen. But I felt when you saw the angle from behind the goal, yes, of course he's maybe 8-10 yards out hitting it hard, but it's a save I've seen McGregor make, put it that way, loads of times. And it wasn't in the corner of the net. It was as if, as his arm extended, it would have hit him, in the inside of the elbow. So, but again, as I say, Rangers, I think at the moment, and maybe it has been a wee bit arrogant, and that's where John Dahl Thomason found it, but I think Rangers should be beaten at Malmö, especially at Ibrox, in front of the home crowds.
Do you think as well, Malmö just won? Obviously, the first half, I thought the first 35 minutes, Rangers were excellent, pressing hard, got the goal, obviously, through Morelos. Then Malmö come back into the game, and then obviously I think Malmö's best player gets set off, and I don't think it is a red card. I will agree with, I think it was you that put it in the chat. I don't think it is a red card, Wilson. But
no. It's only a red card if Bobby Madden's the referee.
But Malmö come out the second half out the traps, and this is the thing I've got with this Rangers team ever so slightly. I don't think it's a crowd thing. I think the three defeats Rangers have had in big competitions, obviously St Mirren last season in the League Cup, Davis scores the goal when I think the team think the game's over. I think the team think, we'll just go and win. That's us. We've done the hard bit. All we need to do is score another goal. St Johnstone in the Scottish Cup last season, I think the same. Tavernier scored late on and they just sat back and St Johnstone invited St Johnstone pressure. This is the same to me. I think when they went 1-0 up and went down to 10, then had a man advantage. I think they thought, I will win this game. That's not. It
may not be a mentality problem. It may not be the crowd problem, but there's certainly a mentality problem then the evidence you're given. And again, and I don't know, there'll not be many world-class sports athletes, even for different sports, that won't be nervous or apprehensive or butterflies before playing against a crowd.
Yeah, now, especially when you've not had a crowd.
We are all fully aware of what the Old Firm crowds can do to players. And there's been world-class players at Celtic and Rangers that have come into that environment and, oh my God, they can't cope. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a wee bit, and I can always relate this, and I know you guys have had a pop at me in the past with Kilmarnock when was successful under Steve Clarke. I think, and I don't blame the Rangers fans for this, I think there was an aura of expectation. And I think they're looking at the teams because, again, Gerrard said in an interview in the news tonight, are they ready to be playing Man City's, Chelsea's, PSG's? And he said, probably not, which is, very honest. But I would expect if I was a Rangers fan and I'm looking at those teams to get results from, I'd be looking to go through.
Yeah, but 3 years in Europa,
they didn't go through. So then you have to start looking at different variables. Why?
Yeah,
because as Mark said, it was there. 10 men, up 1-0, 50,000 fans baying for their blood, not their own. And they failed to do it. And there's a slight concern there. But what you have to remember is most weeks, and especially last year, plan A worked for Rangers. So when Gerrard set his team out, plan A worked. And that was against Celtic as well. They did very, very well in Europe to get where they did. They actually probably should have went through another round, if I'm honest. And they did spectacularly well, plan A. Now, this is where I'm going to question Gerrard and his coaching team, because when they're playing against much better teams, what is plan B? Because in Malmö, you know, they didn't put a cross into the box for Eaton, then they bring Sakal on and put 30 crosses into the box. Tuesday night, you know, 2 banks of tight four and 1 workhorse striker. So rather than putting, you know, good quality across into the box, bringing on an Eaton to challenge, to be big, to be aggressive, you know, they put Ryan Kent in as a number 10. Now, again, I don't watch Rangers every week, but Ryan Kent can surely play wide, cross a ball in the box. You know, because you're saying Barisic is maybe off colour. Taverni's crosses weren't great, and you're expecting a wee bit more. Now, again, you can look back. Is it just an off night? As I said, I felt the Dundee United game was an off night. The European teams, maybe Rangers aren't just as good as we possibly think they are. And I'm not. Please don't take that as a criticism. But because of how well they did last year, as I say, how well they did in Europe as well, it wasn't a fluke they won the league, because they did very well in Europe. But again, maybe it's just the old Kelly way, you know, you're expecting a wee bit too much too soon.
What do we think?
I think they'll have a plenty good run in the Europa League anyway.
They need to go through the Armenian champions, Alcacer, to get into the Europa League group stage. Shankers, we've spoke a bit about this, obviously, on Saturday. We spoke a bit about the Rangers. A few Rangers players been off the boil. I think you're right with the likes of Tavernier, Barisic, even Kent. I think Wright was similar as well. I know he started the season really well. He just never get going. But when you've got 5 or 6 players that are off form, it's very difficult to go and win a game.
It is, you're spot on. I don't know. I mean, there's people I was sitting next to him behind the game saying that Goldson and Tavernier can't play in front of 50,000 people, and on some of the evidence of their performances, you could agree. But then again, before pre-COVID, they've played in big games and won big games with crowds. So I don't think that is an argument. Players have bad games. Players don't have bad games on purpose. It's one of the things for me is, and a guy at work says to me, Malmö know how Rangers are going to set up and how Rangers are going to play before they even know the team sheet, before they turn up to the pitch. You know, and 4-3-3. When Rangers get the ball, pitch is wide. When the other teams get the ball, the two number 10s, as they call Kent and Wright, they tuck in, and see when the ball goes to fullback, it's Barisic, or when it goes to the left, no Barisic. It's when the ball goes to fullback, it's Aribo that's out pressing, it's Arfield that's out pressing, the number 10 is tuck in. Rangers is it getting to the point? I agree with Wilson about plan A. Is it getting to the point where Rangers are becoming too predictable? And pre-COVID, the season that Rangers never won the league, I felt there was an element of that as well. They were going to teams and when things weren't working, say it was 0-0 away at Easter Road, say it was 0-0 and the way they were playing when they weren't, they continued to play that way and say finish 0-0 rather than change it up and go for it. Rangers don't have a plan B in my opinion when to go. And then I think it's they put Sakala on and rather than put him out wide and continue and play that way, they went 2 up, and as Wilson says, they put Kent in number 10. See, after that, Kent hardly kicked the ball.
No.
He hardly touched the ball because they were sitting so deep and sitting so tight that he wasn't getting into areas, and when he was getting on the ball, he wasn't getting taking the ball in areas where it could affect the game. It was maybe dropping deep and getting it and playing it out wide and then starting it again. So it's maybe one to look at. And I also agree with Wilson where there had to be some coming for the management to when Rangers went 1-0. There had to be something coming from Michael Beale or Gerrard or McAllister for Rangers changed the way they played, because it was complete polar opposite for 1-0 to 0-0 the way the performance was. Sat off and they let Malmö have the ball, whereas at 0-0 they were in the face, they were pressing, they were on the front foot. So there had to be a change of game plan there, and for me that's where the game was lost. But as soon as Rangers went 1-0, the game plan changed, and after that Rangers never really kicked the ball. When they could have capitalised on 1-0 and see if Rangers got a second goal, whether it was in the first half or they kept playing like that and got a second goal, goal early on. I thought they could have went on and won with 3 or 4, especially with 10 men, but something changed at 1-0, and for me that was the reason why they never won the game.
Yeah, definitely. I just think it was a bad night for Rangers, but they've got a chance to get back to winning ways on Friday in the Premier Sports Cup against Dunfermline. We'll cover that later on. Wilson, Celtic won 3-0 tonight against Jablonec and are through to the playoff round of the Europa League, where they'll play AZ Alkmaar. Impressed with the performance tonight? It's another good result. 3-0 goals, 2 goals for David Turnbull, James Forrest.
I think it was important that at 2-0, Joe Hart's made 2 really good saves, which is not usual for a Celtic goalkeeper in the last 18 months. So I think that made it big. I mean, I think the job was, you score 4 goals away from home in Europe. I think it's pretty much job done. It's good to see Forrest getting back on the score sheet as well. Turnbull chipping in with a couple of goals. But again, no disrespect to the other team, but Celtic won't be judged on results against Jablonec. Celtic will be judged on results against AZ Alkmaar and the rest. But yeah, again, good for the coefficient. Yeah, get them hopefully into the Europa League. So Thursday nights we can get some live football on. Although it does have a knock-on effect for us having to, wait up to late on a Sunday night till the league games are finished rather than everyone playing on a Saturday. But good result for Celtic. I think all the predictions were in the previous night as expected. As much as my Rangers prediction was clearly wrong.
Yeah.
I think there was a wee bit of element where you were trying to reverse jinx yourself, where you were saying Rangers will win. So if they win, you say, "Well, I told you so," and if they get beat,
honestly, no. See, honestly, when I give my predictions, I try to be as honest as possible. And as I say, maybe I'm kind of caught up in the hysteria because as much as you check my social media pages, I do praise Rangers, and I praised them all last year on here. And as I say, maybe I get caught up in it, expecting them. But as I say, I look at, and I keep going back to the picture that Scott posted, of the Rangers squad, and I'm looking at it, and usually, again, maybe because when I was a kid, European football was for the proper big teams. Like now, everyone gets into Europe, even St Johnstone, and when Scott posted the picture, one of the Rangers players said, right, okay, that's pretty good, pretty strong. If someone had, I told you I had to research who the Malmö manager was after the first game, and then I'm looking at Malmö, I do not know any of those players, so maybe I get caught up in a wee bit of the expectation of it, but going back, Celtic, good result, get through, still got a very tough game to go, but we need to wait and see.
This is not taking anything away from Celtic at all because it was comfortable in both legs. But see that team, they were playing like it's like you can't, nothing more than a comfortable win both legs against them. See anything less than that, because teams like that are some they're no good teams. Like to be in for a chance of qualifying for the Europa League, and I don't want to jinx it for Rangers. I've got it, but like Armenian teams like Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan and all that. I mean, like if Rangers, I remember years ago Rangers went to that Kaunas for Lithuania and things like that. Team Rangers and Celtic have got too much quality to be even scraping by these teams. They should be wiping the floor with them. And I almost include Malmö in that as well, because as Wilson says, I think I'd heard the captain Christensen. I think I'd heard his name.
Moisander used to play with Werder Bremen as well.
Other than that,
yeah, totally agree.
It's just Rangers and Celtic should be wiping the floor with these teams, and if one of them was to go, I know AZ Alkmaar's a tough game for Celtic, but if Chief Rangers were to go and go to this team, it would be an absolute disaster.
St Johnstone are out of the Europa League, but they're into the Conference League where they'll play LASK from Austria. They lost 4-2 tonight to Galatasaray. Wilson, you can take nothing away from St Johnstone, though they should hold their heads up high for their performance over the 2 legs.
Aye, absolutely. Quality just shone in the end, and the pace that Galatasaray, in the final third played with. Again, I find myself shouting at the telly, I don't get how Jamie McCart's let that fella inside him and then still not put a tackle in, allow him to take 2-3 touches before he scores. But again, I even don't think St Johnstone, I think they got an incredible result out there. And then when they got back to one each, I thought maybe they've got a wee chance here, but it just shows you the experience in that Galatasaray team, household names, manager and in players. But great journey for St Johnstone. Amazing to see me.
Who's their manager?
Fatty Terim.
He was the manager of.
You 100% Google him. You'll look at him and go, God,
he's been the manager at every
40 years
twice.
Easy.
The St Johnstone players no call. No, St Johnstone players. The Sturton players no call you his first name as well.
No, well. Some of them call me worse than that. I can tell you. That. But they'll not play on Saturday, so don't worry about that. So as I say, great experience for St Johnstone and good luck to them. Again, I think the Austrian team possibly too strong for them as well, because they're a kind of experienced team in Europe.
They won 6-1 tonight as well.
But great experience for them. Great for Callum Davison, a wee notch on his.
I have seen that manager before.
It does look like me, doesn't it? But again, I know we all try to. Again, we're falling. St Johnstone, we've got a wee chance, but I think we knew Galatasaray would go through in the end.
Yeah,
the team that they've got in the next round on any mugs either. Is it Lask?
I think they're pronounced LASK.
They're no mugs either, so that's not going to be a walk in the park for them.
Again, if you signed for St Johnstone, I know you're better than them, Shankers, but and you were promised 4 games in Europe, you'd a bit their horn off.
I know.
So, let's give them some credit.
I think it'll be a case of I've been involved in teams where you're playing in big games with teams that you probably know that you're not going to beat, and you go in and you say, right, instead of a win bonus, can we just get an appearance fee for this game?
a draw bonus.
I think St Johnstone will be going to the chairman and saying that as well.
Aberdeen are through to the Conference League playoff. They'll play Karabakh. They won 2-1 against Beiderbleck. Ryan Hedges with both goals. Shankers, another good result for Aberdeen. Giant have got a chance against Karabakh. It's not a great place to go.
When you said that, I kind of screwed my face up as well, because I remember, like a few years ago in the Europa League group stages, Spurs and teams like that going away to Karabakh and struggling, not even getting a win over there. So they could have got an easier task than that. But I think if they were offered a playoff 2-leg affair against Karabakh to get into the group, is it group stages that works?
It's the same as Europa League, just 8 games.
It's the same. So I think they would take it, and they've got enough quality to beat teams like that. I don't see why not, but it's not going to be an easy one, put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
What happens if they get the Conference League? What they get into?
Playing the Sturton tournament next summer.
Hibs won't be playing in Europe this season. They are out. They lost 4-1 tonight to Rijeka. Wilson did the red card. Obviously, the red card to Darren McGregor changed the game because it was 1 each, and then Rijeka scored 3 after it. But is that a kind of worrying result for Hibs, the way they lost the 3 goals after the red card?
Yes, I think it is. But again, we've kind of touched on this before. As much as we've praised Jack Ross, especially Rory, who knows him personally, big game bottlers for me.
Loves them.
Oh, absolutely loves them. Big game bottlers, Hibs for me. Saw that with the cup final and whatnot. So, as I say, I think when we all looked at, we were predicting the results last week, we looked at the Hibs one and thought, again, I think we're all confident, and we were confident in Rangers, Celtic, and Aberdeen. We were a wee bit, hope St Johnstone do it, but they're up against probably the best team. No. I don't think did any of us predict it? I certainly didn't predict Hibs to win. I don't think.
I maybe thought
somebody said on penalties. But no, it's a bad result.
Croatia's a hard place to go anyway.
Definitely. I think the best thing for Hibs is the closure of the transfer window. I think they need to know if the likes of Doig and Nisbet and these guys are staying or going. I think that's hard for Jack Ross. Because again, I'm not that I've seen the highlights yet, but I always think if a wee bit like we spoke about Edward, is there a £10 million move coming in for Kevin Nisbet, and he's thinking, I don't want to get injured here a couple of weeks before the transfer window, and that kind of thing. You don't know, but maybe it just shows where Scottish football is at the moment. Because that's Rangers are still in Europe, I suppose, but it's two out. Well, I suppose you could say Celtic 3 out at the first hurdle as such. So Not good for Jack Ross or Hibs. I think they'll have a decent domestic campaign. They'll obviously get beat on Sunday in the Premier Cup, so it'll be a tough week for the Hibs fans.
We're going to come on to that in a second. Shankers, anything you want to add about the Hibs game?
No, I think one each and then get out of 10 men obviously changes the game completely. I think 4-1 maybe isn't a true reflection if it's 11v11. So about 10 men is obviously tough for them because at one each are still in the game. So I think that probably swung the game in their favour, and they'll be looking to bounce back on Sunday, but they'll have a tough game.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to move on to the Premier Sports Cup. The last 16 gets underway tomorrow with Rangers against Dunfermline. We'll just get around the panel and get a score prediction for all 8 games. Shankers, will Rangers bounce back with a win against Dunfermline?
Aye, I think they will, and I think I don't think the changes not be comfortable. Obviously, I'm going up to throw pies and paper aeroplanes at Rory Loy and the BBC.
Maybe swallow the
studio.
studio.
Hopefully, there's no many people running about them in case they fall asleep and miss any of the game. But if you're at a loose end, you can't make Ibrox tune in to listen to Rory. He's they're covering it for BBC Scotland. Obviously, they've got a few member of staff on holiday this week, so
300 I heard.
Shankers, will you be tuning in? Rory Wilson, will you be tuning in to Sportsound tomorrow night to listen to Rory cover the Rangers game?
No, absolutely not. No, that's not fair. No, that's not. Yeah, I probably will. To be honest, I won't be watching it on the television.
Who's he on with? Is he said he's on with?
I don't know.
No, I would imagine there must be some sort of Rangers connection because Rory's on it for these Dunfermline connections, surely.
Oh, man's doing here to defend himself.
No, do you think Gerrard may make wholesale changes tomorrow?
Yeah,
do you
I
think?
think like Patterson, Bassey, Lundstrom, Sakala, I think Scott Wright will maybe still play in the front.
I think Roof might play as well.
I think Roof, you could see some minutes for Roof. I think he will. Tuesday night is obviously still fresh, but I think he'll want to get minutes in the legs. The other players who maybe haven't played as much so far, and I think it's a perfect chance to at home to Dunfermline. But also there'll be an element, I doubt in his head, where he'll be thinking this game. Obviously, it's a must-win because it's a cup game. But he'll be thinking, we go and struggle with this game, then it's a horrible start. So I think he'll make changes, but I wouldn't be surprised on the flip side if he doesn't and he wants to try and just get a win under the belt.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to Saturday. There's 3 games on Saturday. Ayr Dundee United, Dundee Motherwell, Livingston St Mirren. Wilson, give us your tie from those 3.
What was the first? Ayr Dundee United. Go Dundee United and that one to go through. What was the next one?
Dundee Motherwell.
It's a tasty one. Both teams are absolutely terrible. So, I'll maybe go Dundee in that one. They bounce back for their 6-0 defeat.
Livingston St Mirren.
0-0.
That should be the one Rory Loy's commentating. I'll go 0-0 and 0-0 after 164 penalties each. No, I think maybe just St Mirren's firepower. You know, Main, Brophy, Kilty. I think they'll possibly go through.
Shankers, what's your selection for those 3 games? Ayr Dundee United, first of all.
Dundee United just losing their main man during the week, Lawrence Shanklin. So unless they're going to go and spend some of that £1 million, I think they could find themselves in a wee bit of a struggle. Last week, I mean, it's a great result against Rangers last week, but if they don't go and replace his goals, they could struggle. So I'm going to go for a wee Ayr United upset in that one.
Nice. Dundee Motherwell.
I think Motherwell will be strong enough for them. I think 6-0 last week. Dundee won't be judged on performances against your likes of Rangers and Celtic. It'll be games like this and against St Mirren's, Ross Counties, Livingston's, etc., where Dundee will be looking to pick up points and and be judged upon. So I think Motherwell will just edge it in that one.
And Livingston St Mirren, you think it's going to be a goalless draw?
I think so. It's just, is it at Livingston?
Aye.
On the Astro, just I just 0-0. Is it? Does it go in extra time or replay?
I think it's extra time. Extra time then penalties.
I'll go St Mirren on extra time.
We'll move on to Sunday. There's 4 games on Sunday. We'll start first of all with Wilson's big game. Kilmarnock go to Easter Road. Can Kilmarnock do it? Can the Championship side cause an upset?
Aye, absolutely. Undefeated so far. Beating 2 local rivals in Ayr and Queen of the South. Kelly going with
local
no
rivals, Queen of the South.
Yes, sir. Dumfries and Galloway teams to know. Always a wee bit of rivalry with teams from the south. I would think Hibs will be favourites. So, but Kelly's getting 1,000 fans there as well, so there'll be a wee bit of vocal backing.
You going?
Hibs. Well, I need to find out tomorrow because I don't get my season tickets until tomorrow. But you have to get an email for your season tickets to apply for the tickets. But
does Kelly get 500 new fans going when they've got 1,000 tickets?
No, it's just I need those extra seats for my arse.
Is that starting to happen? If people get away tickets and stuff like that for games?
I think somebody said we're in the section of the main stand now. The away fans at Easter Road are behind the goal. Somebody said it was maybe in the section of the main stand, but we're getting 1,000 tickets anyway. So we'll wait and see. But I don't think Kelly should have any fear. I think Hibs could maybe struggle for a couple of weeks after that result tonight. And see, they've had to fly back, etc. And it's a disappointing result. And again, are you thinking, are Doig and Nisbet, etc., still going to be there? I don't think Kelly are going to go there and score several goals, but a wee 1-0 victory would do. So I'll go Kelly in that one.
Shankers, Hibs or Kelly?
Hibs for me, I think. They'll be looking to bounce back after obviously getting out the night, which is disappointing for them. I think they've got a good chance of bouncing back with Kelly, especially at home. So I think that'll be favourable for them.
Wilson Wraith versus Aberdeen. Who we got?
I know Rory fancies Wraith this season, but I think Aberdeen will have too much for them, to be honest. I'll go Aberdeen in that one.
Shankers, who we got?
Who's that, sorry?
Wraith and Aberdeen.
I think Aberdeen will be too strong for them.
Arbroath St Johnstone, Wilson. Can St Johnstone defend their title?
Well, again, you wonder the knock-on effect because I say chasing those Galatasaray players about for 90 minutes tonight will have some sort of thing. Gayfield's not a great place to go to try and play good football. Again, Arbroath a wee sticky start to the season as well, not expected. I maybe go for a wee surprise there. Just as you said there, though, St Johnstone are the holders, so I'll go with Arbroath for that one to go through.
Big call for Wilson. Shankers, who we got? Arbroath or St Johnstone?
Is Arbroath at home?
Yep.
Well, it could be a tricky one if the wind picks up there, but St Johnstone to bounce back, we could.
And the tie of the round is on Sunday at Celtic Park. Celtic versus Hearts. Wilson, will Celtic redeem themselves after Hearts beat them in the league? In the league this season, could Celtic take advantage of the full house and beat Hearts here?
Again, I know there was obviously people getting carried away after how well they played against Dundee. They've had a positive result tonight in Europe, but again, Hearts is a different kettle of fish. Yeah, they'll be out to try and seek a bit of revenge from the first game of the season, but Hearts have proved they're no mugs, sitting at the top of the league or joint top of the league. That's a right interesting one for me. Wouldn't be surprised if it went the whole way to penalties. However, wouldn't be surprised if Celtic ripped them up, and wouldn't be surprised if Hearts won.
Easy as that.
Very tough game to predict.
Where's the game at?
Celtic Park.
I'll go both teams to score. Celtic victory, 2-1.
Shankers, who we got?
I think Celtic on the form that they're in since that defeat at so I think that favours them, and especially at home as well. I think at home advantage, and with fans back in Parkhead, probably a full house as well. So I think that'll be favourable for them. So I'm going to go Celtic 2-0.
And that is our look at the Premier Sports Cup. We're going to close the show by talking to Wilson about his big game on Saturday, Stuart United versus Cumnock. Give us a prediction.
Get into them.
Honestly, just due to the circumstances, obviously, amateur football, every football has had to endure over the last year. It's going to be really tough for every team. There's only 9 teams in the top league in the amateurs this year, and I genuinely think out with 1 or 2, everyone's capable of beating everyone else. I don't think there'll be a runaway leader that there's been in previous years. With Hurlford, Thistle earlier, then Shortleys. I don't think there'll be a runaway winner. And there's a couple of surprise results last week, because you're always surprised when Shortleys drop points. Glenburn losing at home, who are a fantastic team, but so are Daly. And it's just going to be really close. I don't think there'll be any results that you've possibly seen amateur football before of 6-8-0s. I don't think that's going to happen in the Premier this year. But the boys have worked really hard this week, trained really well under Johnny Sinclair's guidance and expertise. But looking forward to the game just to get the boys back, and even things like, the boys have been told they can use the changing rooms and the showers. That gives them a buzz.
I know.
Back into the dressing room, because we've been much to the upsetness of the locals in Stuart. Standing beside 20 open boots and trying to get changed with soaking wet strips, and that's where all these amateur teams committees are, worth their weight in gold. The things that they do for their players on a voluntary basis. But again, all amateur teams will be doing the same thing. So, as I say, the boys are happy to get back to competitive games now after a kind of pre-season tournament and some friendlies. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how we go on. But I can't fault the work ethic of the players. They've really put a lot into the kind of pre-season stuff. So
definitely,
you won't get a prediction from me on that one. It's not fair.
Definitely, but we're going to be covering the amateur league this week as well. We've got to just go through the Premier League fixtures quickly. Daly versus Bolton, Dirrans Athletic versus Glenburn, New Farm Lock against Ardeer West, and obviously Wilson Stuart against Cumnock. We will be on social media all Saturday covering the West and covering the Ayrshire Amateur League, so stay tuned for that. We'll be doing post-match reports and things like that. Please stay tuned for that. And we'll be back on Monday with the Scottish Football Show. But I just want to thank Shankers and Wilson for coming on the show this week. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks for having me. Good luck to Wilson, Stuart, away up at Cumnock. And
just they're visiting us at Sir.
Oh, is it at home? Is it? Oh,
I don't. I need to just. I know it's next week, and we'll go over it in more detail. But the following week, Shankers Mauchline are coming to visit up to Stuart. Now, I don't want him, being caught in the middle and supporting both teams. You'll need to make a prediction and who he supports on that one. So.
I'll leave that to next week then. See how both teams fare at the weekend.
Definitely, but thanks very much.
Cumnock got a good result last week. Did they not draw with Shortleys?
Two each with Shortleys last week. Aye.
It'll be a tough game for these.
That's what I'm saying though. Every game's going to be tough. Every game's going to be. It's not like your league where there's some really really poor teams that you're ripping to bits every week. But you're only doing that because Darvel are having a wee rest, and they'll be back next week to sort you and more about.
Brilliant. But we're going to wrap the show up there. Thanks very much to everyone that's tuned in and follows on social media and subscribe to our channels. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.